quorum present. The first bill is Bill 5. Bill 5 amends the 2017 capital fund budget by transferring the available balance from capital project 1210 sewage relief interceptor and capital project 1727 SSES rehab to the capital project, and that transfer is being made to capital project 1227 automatic meter reading, and in the amount of $1,214,691.21 to correct the existing negative balance.
Mr. Messinger, would you comment on that, please?
Yeah, Brent will actually be addressing this one.
Oh, okay. Mr. Hartzell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. About 2 years ago, you will recall that we had, in the process of beginning closing out capital projects, it said that we had thought we had freed up some cash for other capital purposes, but then we decided at that point that we needed to go back and look through the accounting that had happened over the past, as it turned out, over 15 years, to take a look at projects to be sure, because there were some unusual balances, this being one of them, to determine whether there had been some need to make some changes in the capital accounting. This is one of those instances, and the good news about it is a couple of things. First of all, there's no malfeasance that happened here. I think there was just a decision that ended up getting made several years ago in which the accounting was done improperly on this, and the good news that we have is that there was enough cash available in sewer projects that were still being completed at the time of the water sewer lease in 2013 that are now complete, that there was sufficient cash balance available in those projects that we could verify that based on the accounting that was there, and that we can then draw upon those balances as a means of correcting the accounting error dealing with the automatic meter readers. It'd be nice to say that we had the cash available to spend on other capital projects, but it's more important we get the accounting right, and that's what this is here to fix.
Mr. Messinger, would you like to add anything?
Just basically, it's really a true-up at this point in time. Obviously, there were projects that were on the books for a very long time. There probably should have been transfers done many, many years ago with this, and at that point, they weren't done. But this is something that needs to be addressed, and I think what Brent is bringing forward is something that's very viable.
Okay. All right. Any comment from my colleagues? Any comment from the public?
Thank you. Richard 405 North Gilbert Street, Allentown. How many more meters do we have to do in Allentown? This project has been going on for a long time.
There's a few hundred to go yet, and a lot of those are buildings that at this current time are either inhabitable or under different sections, sort of that, but there's only a few hundred really that need to go yet out of all.
So we might not need all this money.
This is just a true-up. This is not something to put in that place. This is a true-up for what monies were spent already.
Well, how much money do we have? What about the bond issues coming from? I heard Mr. Hart say that we're flush with cash. What year is the bond issues coming from sewage relief and receptor and the rehab? Is Mr. Hart's over flush?
Let me clarify, if I may, on that. I'm not talking about the general fund balance. This has nothing to do with the general fund. This is dealing with capital fund issues. And in the case of the monies from which these accounts are being trued up, I would tell the gentleman that the sewer fund did exist prior to the concession lease of the water sewer system. The accounting for those projects was kept very carefully. We saw that there were balances that were still remaining from projects that were being completed at the time of the lease, which was part of the agreement in the lease. Once the projects were completed and there was available cash left on hand for those, If we didn't have the need to true up the accounting, yeah, we could redirect those particular revenues to spend on other related capital projects, but we've got to clean up the accounting error because there's obviously been a mess up that we need to clean up, but the cash is not actually there, so we've got to get our accounting records in the proper order.
So what you're saying, Mr. Hartzell, that 1.2 million is not all in the bond issues?
It is not all from bond issues. There's some of the projects of which those monies were freed up also came out of things like sewer fund, which is what we're drawing upon in this case. Completed projects in which there were still balances of cash from sewer proceeds, sewer rate proceeds that we happen to have available in cash and that we're going to use in this case to clean up the accounting.
Sewer fund has zero balance.
There are individual projects dealing with sewer capital funds that were still assigned cash, and that is where we had the resources to do it.
So in other words, when you look at the sewer fund, it's a zero balance, there really is money in there yet.
There was money, if I may, there was money that was applicable to individual projects. It was not for operating purposes. These were monies that were allocated for specific capital projects and were included as part of capital funds that happened to come from the sewer fund.
Mr. Hartzell, I just have one question. Am I pretty much right by saying that in the initial stages of this, there just wasn't enough money allocated at the time, and that's why there's a shortage?
My sense, Mr. Zuckel, is that that's what we're going to end up finding as being the cause. The cause.
Okay.
That's kind of where we're headed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My question, Mr. Hartzell, is simply just, and if this isn't something you can answer right now, maybe just give us a sense when you can. Which is, you've talked about how this was failures of accounting practices that led to some of this, if not all of it. Have you identified what those failures were and recommendations and new policies and procedures to not only prevent it from happening in the future, but also figuring out exactly how it happened so we don't do it again?
Yes.
And is that something that at some point you could provide us with an idea of how it happened and how you've taken steps to fix it?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
No other questions from the public? Mr. Clerk, call the vote.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move Bill 5 to the full council
And I'll second
on a favorable vote.
Unfavorable?
No, I said on a favorable vote.
I heard what you said.
Okay, is that common consent?
it. Yes.
Yes.
All right, 4 in favor. Okay, Bill 6 is a street vacation from the center line of Mac Boulevard to the center line of South 10th Street. Rose Street.
Mr. Messinger?
This is one of our paper alleys that exists throughout the whole city. The UAW actually came forward and filed for a vacation of it. The street, I believe, was originally in Salisbury and was dedicated in 27. And in 31, it was actually annexed to the city of Allentown. We have never done anything with it since 1931. So they have filed for a vacation of it. We have no issue on the city's end with the vacation, and this was also brought to the planning commission, and they have no issue.
Okay. Anything from my colleagues? Anything from the public? Mr. Clerk?
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to forward this to the full council favorably, please, Mr. Chairman.
And I'll second.
Okay, by common consent?
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay, 4 in favorably. Okay, Bill 7 amends Part 9, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, lot and house numbering by updating the ordinance language, and include the issuance of notices and sweep tickets as additional tools for enforcement.
Mr. Messinger, can you explain a little bit for me, Thomas?
Okay, so there was an issue brought before council as far as some houses that are in the city of Allentown that are not properly numbered. We did find that there was actually an ordinance, I believe from 1866, that address these issues, but direly needed to be updated. So actually, I asked Tom to take a look at this one, as he will actually be handling it under a sweep issue if there is a complaint that comes in, and or while we actually go out and assess our curb and sidewalk for our streets program, we'll also be taking a look at them, but Tom will be handling the issue under sweep, so I'd like him to talk about it a little bit.
Yes, please.
Right, what we did was we took the ordinance from 1886, and which rarely had a very small city at that time, and we updated to meet the current engineering maps, and that's what we use to determine the property addresses. So that is section 909.02. So we eliminated 01 and 02. 01 got replaced by some definitions that I had to put in for sweep language. And then the rest of it pretty much stayed the same, except when we get to the enforcement, appeal process for the tickets, severability, and the fines and penalties. And then it just follows the standard sweep language there.
So the sweep ticket will be if they fail to comply?
Correct. They will be given a notice first to tell them that their property is not in compliance. And then from that, if they continue to stay out of compliance, then the fine would be $100 sweep ticket. There also is the application to follow through with engineering to get the correct number. So some people might end up with numbers that are not their postal numbers. So it's going to be, we're going to have to look at different things here.
Have you found that to be a major problem up to this point? House numbers, I would say?
I don't know if many properties in town don't have house numbers on the front. I'm sure there are some, and that's like what Craig said, we're gonna look at complaint based plus when they do the curb and sidewalk.
Okay. All right. Anything from my colleagues?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
I just have one or two quick questions. Tom, with the fact that you guys are going to handle this, are you also going to work with CED through zoning and through code enforcement to let you know if they identify a property that is like this as well?
Well, majority of this is gonna be done by engineering through the curb and sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's gonna be complaint based, so I have not reached out to those other bureaus.
However, I believe that probably would be something good to add on to the rental inspections, housing inspections. So I believe that is something they should be looking into. If this is something that goes favorably, we will definitely be talking with Leonard.
And I see Leonard just walked in, so that works out well.
Yeah, that just kind of makes common sense.
Yes. Yeah, just so that way we
We'll all
know.
work together.
Right, because then obviously if we have problem absentee landlords, it's just one more tool in the box to try and make them work. It's another fine that we can put on them to make it difficult for them to not comply. I'm just curious, very, very Reader's Digest version, because I know we're running behind, but how do we establish, I know you mentioned that it goes through engineering, but how do we currently establish the street numbers? Because I know in the old ordinance, it was very plain. I'm just curious how we do it now that we're changing it.
Those are handled through our chief surveyor. There is an official map with addresses. And it'll be, we're not looking for any money out of this. It'll be a permit where it's $0. We just want them to comply with it. So the application would go through engineering. We would give the official address then that would be necessary to put on the property. Obviously, putting the wrong address would have other implications, not only just for somebody calling, but whether something's delivered there or anything like that with it too. But basically, all we're looking for is compliance on this. We don't see it as being a big issue, but it is something that we should address. I believe it is a safety issue, not having an address clearly, at least on the front of your property. And also, for people that would want to also, we would probably recommend that they would put it in the back if they do have a garage or anything there.
My very last question, I promise, is, Mr. Harper, you said that there's a concern that there might be some properties that their mailing address is different than what the city will tell them their actual property address is. I'm thinking of ones where, you have a double house on a lot downtown where they have 3 or 4 numbers that are potentially for their lot. They just happen to choose one. How do we determine which one of those is the correct lot number?
That is handled at the engineering department. We do give out the official address for the properties in the city of Allentown.
Okay, so if someone has a situation in which their mailing address is different than what you're telling them, and you're gonna work with them and educate them on that, correct?
Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else for the public? Mr. Clerk?
Okay, do your motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second.
I'll second that motion, move it favorably to the full.
Okay, by common consent?
Yes.
All right, so moved.
Okay, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.